Can you first share about how you got into this journey, your educational journey, and or first of all, how you were inspired to get into this space?
I guess, like I mentioned, it's kind of starts from high school. So I went through my own mental health issues, so a lot of social anxiety and some depression, and I didn't really know what to do about it. Like I went to my family doctor, and they referred me to some program, but I didn't end up going at the time because of stigma. Like I was afraid of what people might think of me if I go. So there's a lot of stigma on myself. I was able to overcome the social anxiety by just, putting myself out there, like putting myself in awkward and new situations. But I know that that might not be the case for a lot of people. And at the same time, I noticed that a lot of my friends, especially guy friends, they also didn't know how to talk about their problems, about their emotions, much less get help for them. So I just wanted to make it, I guess, my life goal to make whether it's therapy or other sources of support just more accessible and more normalized, and especially for marginalized communities and stigmatized communities, like, for example, South Asian culture, men.
And were you really open about your mental health sort of struggles with your family early on?
So like I told them about the social anxiety, but like they also didn't really know what to do about it. I also just kind of didn't really talk about it much. Like I brought it up once and never again. So it's kind of like a double-ended thing where it's I didn't bring it up, they also didn't bring it up. So it's just like something that gets swept under the rug. Um, Even if it does get brought up, it just gets swept under the rug so that it's an awkward conversation that no one wants to have.
How did that inspire you to be like, I want to be in this space?
Like I just wanted to have like not have other people go through the same problems that I did or face the same barriers to getting help as I did. And I noticed that as time goes on, like therapy and getting help and just mental health in general has become more normalized and a topic. So it is becoming better, but I still feel like there's still a lot of barriers to certain demographics getting help. So I wanted to make sure that culture doesn't get in the way of getting help or anything like that.
There's definitely maybe sort of an intergenerational sort of problem here. So how do we try to change that?
Yeah, there's definitely a stigma being in South Asian culture. So I guess double stigma for us being South Asian and men. So like there's so much pressure to not tell people your problems because you have to appear strong, or if it's like a taboo topic, you don't want to talk about it. Um, I guess the way to challenge it is for me, like I try to be as open as possible about my own experiences and just hoping that it's going to cause a ripple effect where others feel more open about sharing their own situations or problems because of me sharing them. And I do sometimes I do struggle to share my story, and like of course, I'm not perfect, so there's always those fears of like, am I gonna get judged for it, or that or they look at me differently? But as soon as I remind myself that like it's for the greater good and that doing it might help, with the butterfly effect, maybe hundreds of other people, just thinking of it that way quickly gets rid of any of these like worries that I have.
And so I guess I know you didn't like so tell your family about these problems directly, but I guess now that you're actually working in this field and you're doing all these great things, how have they reacted to these accomplishments?
Yeah, I've been comparing myself to high school. I'm a lot more open with them as well. So I've been like they know I'm a therapist and they're supportive of it. And like they also say, it's very needed. They have a lot of their own relatives back home, especially who have gone through mental health issues, and they don't have the open environment that we maybe have in Canada or more Western spaces. So they recognize the need that we have for therapists and just mental health stigmas in general. So they're very supportive and appreciative.
And so what's your perspective on the current social mental health landscape in your industry and as a whole as well?
Yeah, I think it's definitely great that it's becoming more openly discussed. Like if I'm comparing my time in high school to now, and some of the people that I know in high school now, like they're a lot more aware of their problems. They're a lot more talkative about them, and yeah, just open, and it's becoming a more of a topic. They're able to share their stories without feeling shame. Like for the most part, there of course still are stories of shame, At the same time, though, you mentioned social media, so there's actually a lot of misinformation on social media about how, for example, certain mental illnesses present. So I think everyone needs to be careful of where they get their information from and not sometimes people be self-diagnose, for example. So it is a good thing that it's becoming more open, but it's just you got to be careful with misinformation.
How do you define success for yourself, and what has changed over time?
I used to think it was all about grades and money, which is like in high school, I guess everyone really thinks about just money, and maybe not the grades, but I was high achieving, so I did really value the grades. And that's actually what I guess South Asian culture tells you anyways, just focus on getting money, so become a doctor, lawyer, or engineer. Um, but now my definition is a little bit more of like whether what I'm doing is making me feel fulfilled, which is what made me do the career switch anyways. So it's all about, I guess, leaving a difference, making a difference to the world, leaving a positive impact on it. And my life motto, like right now, is to leave people better than I found them, which kind of goes into that definition of success of just even if it's a like brief encounter with someone, I just want to leave them with something that they benefited from.
What has been your biggest challenge so far in your career?
Probably it's like a mental thing of like doubting myself or of whether I'll be able to make a difference, especially because of all the stigmas. Like, is my work going to be able to counteract the stigmas? Are they going to be too strong, or are these like messages that they have, are they like they're spread across generations? So I feel like I won't be able to like undo that in a sense. I've met some resistance from people, like especially South Asian culture. But usually, whenever I tell people I'm becoming a therapist, even South Asians, like they're pretty supportive now. Like they are like, oh, like we really need that. So that has kept me going and kept me motivated.
Have you ever faced periods of burnout, anxiety? I know you talked self-doubt in your journey. And what does that feel like? And how are you dealing with it then and versus now?
I mean, these are things I face all the time. Like especially, for example, the self-doubt. Like doubt myself as a therapist a lot of the time. Especially now, just starting my internship or my practicum. Like there's a lot of feelings of imposter syndrome of like, do I fit in here? Like, am I going to become a good therapist? So there's a lot of self-doubt there. There's also a lot of compassion fatigue or burnout, which is like a big thing for therapists as well. Like I would say I'm someone who's very empathetic, and this career requires a lot more empathy as well. So just like I'm concerned that like, am I gonna have enough empathy to go around
Yeah.
in a sense? But things that have helped me have been like I try to be grateful for like the small things in life that we often take for granted. I think that's just like gratefulness is very important when you are always stressed because you tend to like look at the negative side of things and make problems worse than they are. It's definitely difficult to maintain your own mental health, especially when you want to get results right away. Like I want to be a therapist yesterday, but I know that it's a process and that I don't want to burn myself out. I guess how I deal with it is just like reminding myself that if I'm running on empty, like I have nothing else to give to other people. And going back to my like my life goal or my life motto of like desire to help others, it keeps me in check because I can't achieve my life goal of helping others if I am burnt out. So taking it one step at a time really helps.
And is there any like project or accomplishment? I know you've talked about we can briefly talk about Into His Mind as well. And is that like the most meaningful thing you've done so far or
Yeah, I think I'm pretty proud of that. Just for some background, Into His Mind is a page that I started. I think it's been 4 years now, about men's mental health and just kind of getting the awareness out there, creating some content about dispelling the stigmas, how just normalizing that men do go through like mental health problems as well. So that's an Instagram page. And so I think I'm pretty proud of that. I've gotten a pretty good following. Even for not taking it super seriously, it's just more of a passion project for me. But just even if able to help one person and that cascades into helping other people, like I'm happy with that.